This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name's Russell Osborne and welcome to Prague on the morning of the game against the Czech Republic. Thankfully, not too much of a delay coming out, but enough for Ryanair not to be able to play their infamous jingle. Now today is apparently a day of national mourning after the death of Czech pop singer Karel Gott. Apparently sang for Austria in the Eurovision and was well liked in Germany. So up to 300,000 people are descending on the city from all directions to pay their respects today. Now, I've never been in a country at the time of national mourning. When Princess Diana died, I was holidaying in Lanzarote and watching from afar. It was also supposed to be an Extinction Rebellion demonstration / protest going on. Throwing a few Northern Ireland fans for the game here on Monday. This place is going to be busy, more so than your regular Friday night. Now, you've probably seen some of our delightful media outlets have been trying to stoke the coals with the usual old stories, some pictures of Robocop-looking riot police waiting for any sign of trouble. Let's hope it all goes trouble-free and we can all move on.
So we are made it up to the Sonobo Stadium, which is a stadium on the outskirts of Prague. There's a massive Tesco Extra opposite it, a shopping centre as well. It's one of these grounds where beneath the stand there's McDonald's, there's a bank, there's various shops underneath the stand, and then each corner appears to have the gates to enter in which to get into the ground. But it's fairly busy, lots of English around. It is dark, big red illuminated Sonobo Stadium at the top of it with banners of all various, I assume, old Slavian players for Slavia Prague. The Slavia Museum is here as well. But yeah, looking to go through the gate in a moment. Getting in, fairly straightforward. Usual pat down, no real issues really. But yeah, tickets work to treat, and in we go. And if you remember the Champions League game between Slavia Prague and Borussia Dortmund, the Dortmund fans were in one corner, and that's pretty much where the England fans where we're situated. So inside the ground, red seats all around, Slavia's colours, plenty of England flags dotted around Huddersfield, Bristol Rovers, there's Tottenham, there's Oswestry Wolves. And it is the home of Slavia Prague, so there are Czech Republic flags as well, dotted around. So about 3,000 England fans in here. The England section starts from almost behind the goal, sweeps its way around to the side of the pitch and finishes what looks like, if you were to look in line with the 18-yard box, sweeps its way around to about there. I think there's another England section. The 70 quid tickets are over the other side of the pitch somewhere.
It's a day after the match, and what a disappointment that was. Czech Republic 2, England 1. I thought we were on to a winner right at the very beginning. Raheem Sterling through on goal, gets himself a penalty. Harry Kane tucks it away. You think after all the previous qualifying games, this is going to be the start of what's gone before. But the Czech Republic came back into it and eventually won 2-1 with a goal right towards the end. And got to be honest, I think England deserved to lose more than the Czech Republic deserved to win. Taking nothing away from the Czech Republic, but that was one of the one of the not worst performances, just passionless performances that I've seen from an England side in a long time. Very disappointing. I must say, for the majority of the 90 minutes yesterday, the 3,000 England fans within the stadium there were absolutely superb. Non-stop singing, new songs about Scotland which were amusing, but yeah, thoroughly good support off the pitch. It's just a shame the players on the pitch just didn't respond to it. I'm not quite sure what actually happened, but hopefully it can be put right against Bulgaria and we'll see us qualified. We'll get more reaction to that later in the podcast, but in the meantime, I am going to make my way across the Charles Bridge as everyone else heads to Bulgaria. I'm going to be heading back, but before I do, I'm going to head, as I say, over the Charles Bridge for the last time and go and check out the Strahov Stadium. And here I am, Strahov Stadium. To be fair, it was a bit of a trek out of town, but this is just a colossal lump of concrete, which appears to be used primarily, I guess, as a bus park. Lots of coaches parked up around here, but it does have that sort of communist feel to it. Plain concrete, graffiti. Quite excited about getting inside, trying to sneak in and have a look. My word, this place is huge. So yeah, big thanks to Thomas Danicek of Czech Footy for pointing me in the direction of this place. It's huge, absolutely huge, and it just makes you wonder what it must have been like when it was full, when there was a rally going on, something like that. Must have been a real sight. I certainly haven't seen a stadium of any sort as big as this. Sparta Prague have obviously got some sort of training facility here. They're branded up here. But yeah, looking to my right, there's a block of stands with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 entrances within that stand. There's a corner stand, and then running along the other side, there's sort of yellow seats, sort of old Wembley style seats. There's a little bit of terracing. It's amazing, this place. It's huge. It goes on all the way around. And it's like perfectly manicured grass that obviously the likes of Sparta train on here. It's huge. I've never seen anything like it. If you get a chance to come here next time, Strahov Stadium. So next to the Strahov Stadium is another stadium. It's a ground called the Stadion Pratleski. You have to excuse my pronunciation on that. And just being the nosy type that I am, I thought I'd go and have a quick wander. There's a gate open, and I've just wandered around the side of the ground. One gate open, gone up into the stands, and down below, and this is 11:30 on the morning after the game against the Czech Republic. The England team are currently training inside the ground here. I can see Tammy Abraham doing kick-ups. They've got various cones all set out. I think that's Gareth Southgate just standing in the middle of the pitch there in conversation with someone. Pickford is having a session in goal at the far end of the pitch. But yeah, I've literally stumbled across the England training session. Clearly I don't think I'm supposed to be here, but, you know. So, back home, in the comfort of my own front room, my wife informed me of some disturbances with Czech police and a group of England fans who seemed to have been attacked in a bar where the media conveniently found themselves. Didn't know about this, and I don't really want to comment further as I wasn't aware of it at the time, but it appeared, other than the game, everyone seemed to have a good time. Now, this was only the third time we've lost to the Czechs, last losing to them back in 75. Previous to that, 1934. And we know that the 70s weren't exactly a golden time for England. And the then Czechoslovakia, they were semi-finalists and in fact winners of the Euros during the 70s. I'm at a loss as to why the motivation didn't really seem there last night. But I did receive a couple of tweets, one from Jonathan Fearby saying Rice, Rose, Keane all have to go. Henderson had a shocker. And @on Mead, awful. Lack of movement and creativity. No one in midfield could hold the ball or take responsibility. And personally, I think the previous game, Kosovo exposed us. I'm not quite sure we've learnt from that. Now, of course, during the World Cup, we were playing 3 at the back, and now Gareth Southgate seems to favour a back 4. Bulgaria, they drew 0-0 away to Montenegro, and now the team now fly to Sofia, hoping to secure qualification. But looking forwards to next year, all of a sudden, we look vulnerable if we come up against better organised sides. And that was in fact the first time I've seen England lose an away qualifier. I've seen them lose them at home, of course last being Croatia in 2007, and I've seen them lose away friendlies. But the last time England lost an away qualifier was in fact 10 years and a day since we lost in Ukraine. So, on to Bulgaria, England went. Gareth Southgate made 5 changes. In came Mings for his debut in place of Keane, Chilwell for suspended Rose, Winks, Barkley and Rashford for Rice, Mount and Sancho. Thankfully, England turned out a better performance than the one in Prague. Qualification wasn't achieved on the night as Kosovo beat Montenegro 2-0, but sadly, the game was overshadowed by more racism incidents from the home stands. I generally want to focus on the football on this podcast, but as it happened whilst we were in action, I really can't let it pass without comment. Okay, and I'd like to welcome back to the Three Lions podcast. We spoke to him a little while ago when England faced Bulgaria, and we're going to speak to him again. So live from Sofia, welcome back to Andy Sachev. Hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Hey, last time we spoke, we left it that you were going to try and meet some of the England players. Did you achieve that?
Yes, actually, I was one of the 10 lucky people who patiently stayed in front of the hotel where the players were, because Gareth Southgate and Harry Kane had a press conference in the National Stadium, and they were going to the hotel later, and we have managed to surprise them, took some autographs and a selfie.
Oh, great stuff. And did you manage to have a quick conversation?
Well, I was shocked because Harry Kane is in front of me. I just said, can you sign the autograph? And he was like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, well done. I'm glad you managed to get that. Well done. Well, we'll get to your view of the game very soon, but sadly the topic of racism is quite high over here. In England, we heard on the news that Gareth Southgate had spoken with the team, Harry Kane as well being captain, about the possibility of racism and the possibility of walking off the pitch should it be heard. What was the build-up in Bulgaria like?
Well, the build-up for this game, the last 3 weeks, we were talking about the racism that could be coming from our fans, the chantings and the chantings that were coming. But no one actually said, okay, if they're coming, why wouldn't we stop this? And they just let it happen, because I think that everything is organized. So the president of the FA should be sacked. A lot of English reporters or English people don't know this kind of stuff, because in Bulgaria, the FA has its insides.
Right. And what do you mean by the insides?
The insides is, the fans who were with from that sector, I believe it's B, who were chanting. Yeah?
Would we refer to these as the ultras?
Yes, the ultras who freely do did their thing, the Nazi signings and the monkey noises. I believe that they were doing this so the president would be sacked because he's 14 years in charge, and most of the football fans from big clubs like CSK Sofia, Levski Sofia, Ludogorets, they don't like him. And
Right.
I believe this was organized from the fans so he can be sacked.
And this is the FA president.
Yes, Borislav Mikhailov.
Okay. Now, I believe today we're speaking on the Tuesday, the day after the game. Some significant events have actually happened.
Yes. Well, first, I would like to say that he was sacked immediately because the Minister of Sports, Krasen Kralev, and Prime Minister of Bulgaria, Boyko Borisov, have been pushed by UEFA and FIFA, so they can tell him to just resign, and he did it.
But by having these ultra groups making racist remarks and racist salutes, that's not a way to go about getting someone sacked, though, is it?
Well, these people who are in the game for this moment, that they basically got their chants and their noises. I believe it's because of this. I don't see why should they go to a game and do things like that. I think the other thing that may be targeted, connected with the ultras, is because in the game at Wembley last month,
Yes.
some of the because there was a steward who heard that the Bulgarian fans said something to the English fans, and the English fans shouted gypsies to the Bulgarian away fans, and I believe that was the other maybe provoked moment by these ultras, sort of a payback because of because there were situations in the newspapers. There were writings about the Wembley game because of, again, a fan problem. I believe it's why these fans were acting like that in yesterday's game.
I see, and I've got to be honest, I wasn't aware of that. But I must also point out that here in England we are not whiter than white. We're not all angels, so we do have some of the same issues that are being mentioned at the moment.
I want to say most of the English people, because they are not they're not supporters, or they don't know deeply what's going on in this situation, because I know the majority, like there were a few hundred people who are making this their racist behavior, but I like to say to the English fans and people that there's no need to abuse the whole country, because we are a country that's a long time being around in Europe, and I'm very sad and I'm sorry for the behavior of these fans, but just don't put the whole country because of these people, because many normal people will be walking and they'll be called racist because they weren't there and they didn't know what's going on and they haven't done anything.
I mean, obviously Bulgaria has had previous issues, which was why the partial stadium closure was implemented last night. You had the UEFA banners, and there's been fines that have been dished out previously. What really needs to happen? What would stop this from happening in Bulgaria going forwards?
Well, this kind of I should say situations have been in club level and of course in national level. The closed doors were because of the game against Kosovo that was in June, and I believe that because innocent people will be hurt by that fact, the best decision is, for me personally, my opinion, the future games had to be in closed doors, but like not a few games, a very large number of games, because the other decision that UEFA can make is to expel Bulgaria from the qualifications for the World Cup at Qatar in 2022 and this year's European Championship.
Well, I think it's safe to say you're not going to make the European Championship, but yes, that is one thing that has been sort of spoken about is banning Bulgaria from a future qualification period, be it for the World Cup or future Euros, sort of similar to Russia in the Olympics. But I mean, how would that affect like people like yourselves? I mean, because I don't want to tar all Bulgarians with the same brush, because I'm sure the vast majority of Bulgarians aren't the type of people that are racist and have those sort of views. But how would that affect you? I mean, would you miss the national football side if you were banned for a 2-year period or so?
Well, no, because at the moment our national team is not in its best quality that was like in the 80s or 90s. And the other thing that there is club football here. And some clubs, of course, my club personally, goes to Europa League. And I believe that the national team at the moment, no one really wants to watch it. Many people just watch the game because they are getting their kids so they can see what is football like, or because they are in front of their eyes, they're playing with big teams, and that's exciting for us. But if Bulgaria is banned for 2 years, I don't say that I would care, because in our national team, most players need to be removed from the squad because they're not doing very well.
Right. I mean, and just one more thing on that. The manager, Coach Balakov, has said he didn't hear anything. You yourself were at the game. Did you hear anything?
Well, yeah, I really wanted to cover this situation because I believe Balakov, in my opinion, again, he didn't hear anything because he was concentrated in the game itself, and and me, I was too concentrated in the game, and I wasn't paying attention to the fans most of the time, because I was really I really wanted to watch the game, not watching the fans, because fans, I can watch them on YouTube. That's not the point. For me, Balakov, he actually, an hour ago, he apologized the behavior of our fans. He apologized of the to the English players. And I would say that Gareth Southgate himself didn't hear most of these because he was concentrated at it in the game.
Oh, I see. Okay. Let's move on to the game. You went. You said that many people aren't so interested in the national team. You yourself obviously are, because you went to the game. What did you make of it?
Well, I was actually very happy for England to come to our national stadium, because the English atmosphere, for me, because I'm a fan of the Premier League, I would say it's fascinating. It's something special, because I haven't experienced it at all. I've experienced it on TV only. I was happy that we played England. Yeah, every fan will be disappointed about a result or devastated by a result of 6-0. But I was there because of the game, and I was there because I was there with my friends.
And being Bulgarian, but you wanted to see the England players. When England scored, how did you feel?
Well, actually, for the first goal, we were playing well. After that, before the first goal, Emilian Popov had a very good shot against Pickford, but of course it was saved, and that goal was amazing. Actually, that was probably the best goal.
This is Marcus Rashford's.
Yeah, Marcus Rashford's goal was probably the best goal that night.
Yeah, no, it was a very good all-round England team performance that put to bed the unfortunate Czech Republic results. Where did Bulgaria go from here on the football front?
Well,
I mean, do you need a change at the top there, the manager?
well, I don't believe that the manager should be sacked because, as he said in an interview multiple times, that he will gladly resign from the post, but at the same time, nothing will really change because we have changed every year. We have changed managers, and the result is always the same. The players need to be changed, not the manager, the players, because we have seen many managers come and go, and the result is the same, not different.
I see. So there's a lot to work on, but you think it's the players.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your insight into that, Andy. Really do appreciate it. And last time we spoke, you said that you were doing your art. You were drawing old players in retro shirts? Is that what I remember?
No, I drew players or people in old football kits, like from the 90s or from the 80s, because football kits for me are very special. It's not just a shirt, but it's something special because non-football fans will say it's just a shirt, but for football fans it's the design, the club crest, the sportswear who supports the kids, and that kind of stuff.
Okay, and that's on Instagram, isn't it?
It's Andy with 2 Y's .graphics in Instagram.
Great stuff. I'll link to that, and likewise your Twitter as well. Well, Andy, thank you very much for your time, and we may meet again one day.
Yeah. Bye.
Now let's welcome back to the Three Lions podcast. Always welcome to have him back. CJ Joyner, how you doing?
All good, thanks, Russell. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. You went to both games, didn't you? Well, in fact, I saw you out there in Prague.
I did, yeah. It was good to see you.
Yeah, no, likewise. That's been since we last caught up, was since Portugal, wasn't it?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, you lost your suntan.
Yeah, just about. Well, I've been in Jamaica for 2 weeks in the last month or so that's quite disappointing, Russell.
Well, let's start with the Czech Rep game. Was that just a blip?
I think it was. I think it was a huge wake-up call that you could say we probably needed, really. I mean, if that Kosovo game wasn't a wake-up call, that Czech Republic game certainly was.
I know, I totally agree. Just the players just didn't turn up, and they didn't reflect what we as supporters were in the stands, because I think that was one of the sort of most full-on 90 minutes in quite a while. I think that one, from a supporter's point of view. Certainly.
I mean, I think if you go through the team, Pickford would probably want the goal back, really. However, you look at his performance throughout, he made some top draw saves. And the way how the defence opened up, I don't think it was particularly helpful that some of the players stopped when Danny Rose went down. I don't know, maybe they thought they heard a whistle or what have you, but I suppose it's just basic instinct. They see one of the teammates go down with a head injury, they just assume the game already stopped. But it wasn't. That was really the only mistake I would say he made, if it was a mistake. Trippier, I thought, played pretty well, really. I'd say, if anything, him or Mount would have been my man of the match. The rest of the defence, I thought Maguire and Keane were pretty poor. Rose just wasn't at the races at all. He just didn't seem right from the start. And then as we go into midfield, as I said, Mount looked pretty good. Henderson and Rice, I thought, were pretty shoddy, really. I'm still not necessarily Rice's biggest fan, really. I know he's a young lad and he's coming into the team and everything. And I know Eric Dyer has had a lot of criticism. I'm just struggling in an England shirt. I'm struggling to see how Rice is doing better than what Eric Dyer has in the times when he's played. And then you got the front three that Sterling did everything he could. I think he tried his best. He won us that penalty, didn't he? Really. Sancho was pretty anonymous, and Kane had a go. To be fair, in the second half, but it wasn't a good day at the office for him. It's probably only 3 or 4 players there you can say came out with any credit whatsoever. You might give a 5 out of 10 to, really. Yeah. The rest were pretty shoddy. I mean, Rashford came off the bench, didn't he? But did he even touch the ball? I'm not sure. Did he? I think he may have had one run.
Conversation I had after the game, just regarding the substitutes, that they were pretty much like for like, weren't they? It wasn't really. Anything. He needed something different to shake it up, and it was as if we didn't have a plan B.
If we remember, up until we qualified, really, the Lithuania game, I would say, in the last campaign.
Oh yeah,
Southgate played it pretty safe, really, if you remember. And then we switched it. He switched it from that day, and we played some really nice stuff after. He's shown he can play with different systems, but everyone has a bad day at the office. Everybody does, and that was just our one bad day at the office when it comes to qualification in how many years? 10 years. So
that's right.
You can't really complain. I'd like to think that we've actually played pretty well, really, in the last couple of years in qualification in particular. I didn't think Friday was anything to worry about, really, with the performance. It was just an off day. Maybe we've had some of those off days in the last few years, but we've just got away with it. But this time around, it was just an off day, and we didn't.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction by a lot of people, myself included, coming away from there going, no, that was rubbish. But I think it was the kick up the backside that we needed. So, well, go on, let's move on. You went on to Bulgaria. I came home. How did you get over to Bulgaria? Any exciting routes?
Went via Milan. We had an hour in Milan. That was pretty uneventful, really.
And on to Sofia.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So what did you make of Sofia as a city and Bulgaria as a place?
As a city, I thought, well, we deliberately went there the Saturday because I wanted to spend more time there, and we all did. I think it's partly because we may go to Prague again. We may take a trip to Prague, stag do, something like that in the future, maybe, or something, but we're less likely to take a trip to Sofia, so you get to see more of the city. It was a reasonably pleasant place. It had a lot of nice architecture, a lot of nice buildings, but we can't sweep under the carpet the atmosphere that greeted us pretty much from when we arrived, really, on the Saturday.
Was it obvious then?
Thinking back, I didn't really notice it as much, but thinking back, you think back at different things and you think, oh yeah, well that happened and that happened and that happened and that happened, and you kind of got that stare from that person and that stare from that person. And the people in the restaurants, our Airbnb host, lovely people in the bars, fantastic people. Some of the people on the streets, though, you just felt like they just didn't really want you there.
Right.
We weren't necessarily made to feel welcome. I felt on the streets. I felt there seemed to be a little bit of hostility from the moment we arrived.
All right, okay. So on to the game, match day. That hostility probably increased a little bit, did it?
Yeah, very much so. It was blatantly obvious from when we were walking down from the Airbnb down to just out and about that day, walking down to the Ceska Stadium, just to have a look there. And obviously there was some awful things with the stickers and stuff like that. Very poor, well, some pretty shocking graffiti, to be honest, as well, on some of the buildings, including the school.
Really?
Swastikas, things like that, things that you don't really want to be seeing. We seem to be getting stared out by a lot of people. We were in England shirts, but at the end of the day, everyone's going to know we're English. Whether
well, yeah,
you just look English, don't you? You just have that aura around you. I mean, we're in shorts. A lot of people seem to be in the jacket, 20-something degrees, but I found it quite warm walking around in shorts and what have you. Shorts and a t-shirt, you're just going to look English.
Yeah.
But we did sense a bit more hostility on that day. But again, the people in the bars and everything else, the staff and what have you, it just seemed like lovely people, really. And it's just a shame there are a few people out there that just ruin it for them.
Yeah. So onto the game.
the game, the event. Let's split it up into two. And I've already spoken to Andy from Bulgaria. He's given us his side on the whole racism element. So let's split it into two with the racism and the actual game. Where did the racism come in it for you?
Well, from where we heard it, it was quite early on. I would say it sounded like boos. There could have been monkey chants in that. We couldn't really tell from where we were right down in the far corner from where kind of the main ultra group were. So it was noticeable whenever the likes of Mings, Rashford, Sterling, Barkley as well, people, it just was blatantly obvious they were booing these players.
Yeah.
Or worse. And it made us, it obviously got our backs up a lot. The chance of chanting at them, calling them racists and lots of other things as well, that soon kind of intensified pretty early on. What I would say is, you look at those first 5 goals, they were scored 2 by Bartley, 2 by Sterling and 1 by Rashford.
Yeah.
And, what better way to silence them than doing that? I don't think it really did silence them, really. The main ultra group were led outside, were taken outside.
Could you see where that ultra group was? Did you notice them all leave?
It was noticeable. They were in the far. The corner we were in, it was on our side of the stadium, next to the opposite corner flag. If you get what I mean, the corner flag down the other end of the stadium.
Yes.
They left the stadium. We saw them leave. One of the biggest issues, it wasn't just them. You could hear from diagonally across the pitch in the other corner that they're kind of level with the penalty area. That there seemed to be quite a few boos and whistles coming from that area as well. I did get the impression that they were continuing throughout the second half. Obviously, the booing was kind of slightly quiet. It was a lot quieter, but there was definitely still a few boos out there. How can this be happening in 2019? It shouldn't have been happening 30, 40, 50 years ago.
It's a question that everyone asks. Yeah. UEFA appear to be taking steps. What I find strange is this 3-step protocol from UEFA about speaking to the players. Then you've got the tannoy announcement, which both of those were done, and then there's the option to walk off. But it just seems strange. As someone I read somewhere that a child might get told off once, and then if they do something naughty again, they're told not to do it and taken a toy away or something. Yet adults at a football match get 3 chances. It just seems so strange that obviously the banners don't work, the ground closures don't, or partial ground closures don't work. I really don't know what UEFA are going to do. Firstly,
ground closure is a complete joke. It is a complete joke that they closed 5,000 seats in that stadium. It's a 44,000-seater stadium, and they closed 5,000 seats, and they sell about 20,000 as a maximum.
Yeah, it wasn't full at all, was it?
As a maximum. Considering we're one of the bigger nations that most teams sell out for, a 5,000 closure in a stadium that's always half full, if that. How is that a punishment? If anything, it makes it a bit easier for them, really, because they think, right, okay, we won't sell any tickets in that bit of the ground. And it's almost like, that they were making a point, because the exact same bit of the stadium at the other end of the pitch was closed as well. And that wasn't a UEFA sanction. That was just the fact that they don't sell any tickets in that end. And, it's almost like they're making a point saying, well, you're going to close that end, but we're going to close this end anyway. We would have closed it. So you haven't really punished us. It was almost like they were saying that to UEFA. With regards to the tannoy, we couldn't hear it. We couldn't hear the tannoy at all. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if there would have been a fire. What would have happened? It didn't even seem to be muffled or anything. There didn't seem to be any speakers near here at all. Putting a tannoy announcement over, let's make no mistake here. The main group of ultras that were causing the racism, the racist chanting, was in pretty much the exact place we were in the stadium, but at the other end of the stadium. So you can only presume that the speaker system's exactly the same down that end as well. So did they even hear it? What's the point of putting out an announcement like that when the main group of people may not have been able to hear it? I think since they've been charged with racism before, I think the 3-step rule is a joke. One announcement, take the players off the pitch with that announcement. That's it. Just take them off. Take them off for 10 minutes. Try to get some kind of sense into the crowd, some way. Maybe Kane and Popoff go over to the, rather than just Popoff. Maybe Kane as well. The 2 captains walk over to the fans. Do something along those lines. And if it doesn't stop, then that's it. Game over, forfeit, game over. However, the thing that we've got to think about is they're sat there with 3 points. They've got no chance of qualifying. They didn't have any chance of qualifying pretty much from the first game. They've been destroyed by us twice now. How's that a punishment as well? How is that a punishment? Because they forfeited the game. They forfeited the game themselves because they were so poor on the pitch. I don't know whether they felt like, well, we can't really be winning this, lads, because of the, because of what's going on in the crowd, or I don't know whether they're thinking that, or whether they're just genuinely that poor. I mean, they look bad at Wembley, but I've got to say, Monday night that took it to a completely new level of one of these mid-tier nations looking that poor. I mean, I was watching it thinking, how must Stilly and Petrov and Dietmar Berbatov be thinking right now, watching these players play? They just look so poor when they've had such good players in the past. And we're mentioning about the racism. One of the best players ever, forget about from Bulgaria ever. You got Stoichkov crying on the air on a TV program earlier, or it might have been last night or what have you. But
yeah, I saw
it on social media, crying because of the state of the racism in that stadium. And he's saying that he believes I think he was captain, wasn't he, in 1994? And he is saying that he wants his team kicked out for the next 4, 5, 6 years, all international competitions. And is that really a threat though? Because the way how they're playing at the moment, they're not going to make any tournaments anytime soon anyway. Somebody did mention actually while we were out there that kick them out of the Champions League and Europa League.
Or punish the club sides,
Just punish the country as a whole and say, due to what your fans are doing, you're not going to be allowed to compete in the Champions League and Europa League from now for the next 4 years, and we're going to assess you they could even do it on a yearly basis and assess them, something along those lines. Maybe give them a chance to clean up their act, maybe. But
UEFA really do need to put their foot down and sort this out now.
Definitely so, and but like I said, they're not going to qualify for any tournaments. So hit them where it hurts. Let's face it, it's not the players that are doing this; it's the fans. So let's hit the fans where it hurts. And if the moment they think the majority of them would be from the bigger supported clubs in the country. So the moment they think, oh my word, this is going to affect us pretty badly here, we're not going to be playing in Europe. That could be a significant setback for them. And I personally think that's probably the way to go. Ban them from international competitions by all means, but I think they've got to do significantly more than that. They've got to take, bigger steps.
Interesting point of view. Yeah, could be done. The game, 6-0 result. It was the perfect response to losing in Prague, wasn't it?
Couldn't have done any better, really. I've never been prouder of that team, the fans as well. I thought the team were... You couldn't necessarily say they were fantastic because they were playing against... Honestly, they looked worse than San Marino. I thought they looked worse than a San Marino, worse than a Liechtenstein. They're dropping down to Scotland levels, Russell, and it's just... you just think, what's going on there? But either way, so I thought the players put in a very professional performance, and you can't fault any of them. I think we were probably in first gear. We didn't even get out of second gear. Go back to the Kosovo game. We were probably in first gear then as well, but it might just be, Kosovo was certainly just slightly better. Well, they are a bit better than Bulgaria. That's why
I think we struggled to get out of first gear against Kosovo at times.
Yeah, we
were stuck there.
Yeah, but either way, this game in particular, I think we're in first gear. Why go into second or third gear? Because at the end of the day, they've all got clubs to go back to. They don't want to be injured. No. If they're doing that little bit of that little bit too much, twist their knee, something like that, then it could put them out for a long time. So take it at pedestrian pace, and then hit them every so often with with an attack. And pretty much every time we went forward, I thought we were going to score. I mean, Kane, I've got to say, I didn't think he played that well, really, in comparison to what we can expect from him. But he got 2 assists and a goal.
Turned provider, didn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, the best performance I've seen from him was last year in Spain, and he didn't score. So he's a different sort of player to what he was always billed to be. I'm not sure I understand. And I, Siri. It's a different sort of player to what he's always been billed to be. He isn't just a goal scorer. He's very greedy in front of goal. However, when he sits back, we instantly look a better attacking threat than if he wasn't sitting back. He knows he's got Sancho on one side, he's got Sterling the other, that can pull in and score goals from anywhere, and he's got the likes of Barkley as well, who's had so many critics. But I like the guy, I really do, and I think we lost 3 or 4 years of Ross Barkley.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it was against Scotland where he came on about 2013, 2014,
something
and
like that.
He looked very, very, very good when he came on for about a 20-minute cameo. And I'll always remember that about him. I thought, we've got the next Gaza here.
Yeah.
We really have. We've got the next Gaza or Rooney. I personally think that if he was in the team on Friday, and so was Tyrone Mings, if those two were in that team on Friday, I think we would have won.
Well, there's certainly going to be a few players knocking on the next squad, and just one player that has stood out exceptionally well. And you did mention him there, Tyrone Mings. I must admit, I think I may have to. I don't think I actually said it publicly, but I think I leaked my words. He actually performed and came on the pitch, performed against Bulgaria a lot better than what I anticipated he would. He just was so confident, sort of dictating from the back as well. He seemed to work well with Maguire, and I can see him being in the England team for a long time to come, should he keep this up.
100% agree with you. I felt exactly the same. I thought maybe he wasn't really the guy to play there. Never really been that impressed with him. However, he just looked good. Do you know? He looked like, what is he, 27, 28? Something like that, maybe?
Don't know, to be honest.
Mid to late 20s. He looked like he was that age, and he had been desperate to put in a really good performance for England and show what he can do for 10 years. He looked like that, and I can believe he is like that. And hopefully, if he continues to play like that, then you've got the likes of Stones coming back, Gomez, who I think is probably our best footballing centre half. So I'd like to see a lot more of him. And there's our 2 first choice centre halves there. They've got a bit of a problem there with him now. I think he's played himself into contention.
Very much so. Yeah. So that'll be the squad for Montenegro and Kosovo. We win against Montenegro at Wembley. We are through to the tournament next year. Looking forward to Montenegro then.
I am. 1,000th England game. It's something to be proud of, really, as a country, that we've played that many matches, and there's a lot of happy memories for myself, and obviously a lot more for the people that are the older generation. There's obviously a lot of sad memories as well, that you don't really want to remember, but ultimately it's our country, isn't it? And it's something to be proud of, that we've played that many games. Yeah,
and then Kosovo after that is another exciting place, or another exciting game for a variety of reasons, having never been there, and one of those places that I thought, you know what, I would never ever go there. So looking forward to going there, and no doubt I'll see you too.
Yeah, it's the one that I've been looking forward to the most out of all of them, really. And it's the one that you'd look at, you think, as you said, you just never go there. There's never a reason to go there. And I remember Slovenia being a lovely place, for example, but you've never heard any bad reports about Slovenia, but you would never have gone there.
CJ, thank you very much for your time. Yes, let's look forward to catching up, maybe either at the Montenegro game or at Kosovo. Thanks for your time.
No problem. Thank you, Russell.
I do like to try and acknowledge some other bloggers out there who do their thing for England, and a really good job it is too. Dom Smith over at englandfootball.org said after the Czech game, "Reality check hands England first qualifying defeat in over a decade. A late Czech Republic winner ensured England missed out on their first chance to seal qualification to Euro 2020. A poor team performance handed them their first defeat in a qualifier since 2009. Then following Bulgaria thrashed, but it's England hit for six. Gareth Southgate's side eased past Bulgaria with a comprehensive win in Sofia, but this was a game halted twice because of racist behaviour in the stands." And Jonathan Fearby's site, footballengland.org, followed the Czech game by saying, "England lose proud record in Prague. It's official. England's unbeaten run in tournament qualifiers has ended after 10 years and 43 games with a shock defeat to the Czech Republic." Now, it's not just been an international break for the senior men. As you may remember in the preview podcast that we last had, we ran through all the fixtures that the young Lions will be taking part in. We're just going to run through the results of those. But as well, of course, the Lionesses had 2 games quite a while ago now. And I did hope, I had planned to try and have a Lionesses and England Youth podcast as a separate entity, but that may have to wait until another time. But let's just recap on those results. The Lionesses, they lost to Brazil by 2-1. It was played up at Middlesbrough's Riverside Stadium. They then went and beat Portugal by 1-0, but things are still not ticking along properly for Phil Neville's girls. They play Germany at Wembley is their next game, November the 9th for that one. Got a ticket for that as well, so I'm looking forward to going to check out the girls. Now on to the young Lions. We'll start with the under-21s. They played Slovenia on the 11th of October, drew 2-2. Eddie Nketiah's first half penalty and a debut goal for Sam Surridge of Swansea put England in control before 2 late Slovenia goals got them back into it. And on the 15th of October, England played Austria in a Euro qualifier. Convincing win, 5-1. 2 for Callum Hudson-Odoi, 3 for Eddie Nketiah. He, I think, is going to be one for the future. Currently at Leeds on loan from Arsenal. The under-20s drew 2-2 with Italy. Angel Gomez of Manchester United got both of those. 2 in 2 minutes before Italy came back into it. England then lost to the Czech Republic on the 14th of October. They played that at Peterborough United's Western Home Stadium. Now the under-19s, they lost 3-1 to France in the, you may remember this one, we mentioned it, the International Marbella Cup. England won, France 3. James Garner of Manchester United equalised before 2 late France goals sealed it for them. England stayed in that Marbella Cup for a second game where they faced Belgium, beat them by 4-2. There was an own goal on 6th minutes in England's favour. Bobby Duncan got 2. He's currently plying his trade at Fiorentina, and Chelsea's Henry Lawrence got 1. The under-18s beat Poland's under-19s 5-2. Poland took the lead. Another own goal, again in England's favour. Dejan Tetic of Reading got a goal. Joe Gelhard of Wigan got a penalty. And Nonso Madueke, I think that's how you pronounce it, of PSV, saw us run out 5-2 winners against Poland. We then beat Slovakia's under-19 side. Sam Greenwood of Arsenal got a goal there. And the under-17s, they had 3 games all over in Spain at the Pinatar Arena. They played Germany twice. They initially drew with them 3-3. They then lost 2-0. And then they played Spain where they drew 1-1. Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. It has been a bit of a busy one. Thanks to Andy Sachev for that input from Bulgaria. You can follow him on Twitter at Andy_NC. And also to CJ Joyner, as always, for his comments. Likewise, he's on Twitter at CJ_CovBlaze. Please do spread the word, like, subscribe and review at your usual podcast download place. You can find us on Twitter. We're at 3 Lions Podcast. Search also on Facebook and also Instagram. Again, 3 Lions Podcast, put it in the search bar. And of course, 3lionspodcast.com. As I mentioned in the last episode, I have a special podcast ahead of England's game against Montenegro. It's England's 1000th game. I'm planning to release that 1st of November. And if you like your England history, then I hope this will be right up your street. Keep your eyes peeled on Twitter, Facebook, etc. in the run-up to that. Now, before I sign off, I think it's only appropriate that I give a mention to the England fan who passed away in Sofia, Bulgaria. Now, you may have read this in the news. It was released on Wednesday that his name was Rob Spray. He was 32 years old and from Staffordshire. Personally, I didn't know Rob, but would like to extend my condolences to his family and his friends, as no one deserves to go away to watch England or any other team or sporting event and not come back to their loved ones. Rest in peace.